You're listening to the Magnetic Boss Podcast. I'm your host, Calandra Martin, intuitive brand designer for spiritual entrepreneurs. The Magnetic Boss Podcast is where visionaries come together to openly share wisdom and authentic conversations. I know that you are ready to leave your legacy in the world and become sought out in your industry. I also know that you are sick and tired of getting overlooked. You're ready to have a magnetic business. I'm here to help you create your magnetic brand. It's my mission to help you show up confidently with a professional, irresistible online presence. If you're in this for the long game and all in on the big vision you have for your business, let's dive in. I want to share a social media tip with you today, a prompt, if you will, and an invitation to take this story and turn it into something you can apply in your own life and in your own business. Because the thing is, the way that I see the world and the way that I move through my relationships in life is from the lens of branding and positioning and authority building and marketing your brilliance. So I'm going to share a story with you, but I want you to think about this in your own life and your own business because it will help you create content that has an impact. So the other day I was chatting with one of my biz besties and she had been at a live event and she was talking to somebody in real life, right? Like we're not talking the internet space where everybody's using the fluffy coaching industry language of alignment and magnetism and all the things that I use, right? We're talking real world conversations with people that are working in corporate 9-to-5 jobs. Think of it like talking to your aunt or somebody who really just doesn't get your business, your husband even. I think about this a lot, about how my husband just really doesn't understand the world that I live in. So I want you to think of somebody or a situation in your life where you were speaking to someone that didn't really understand what you do. Now, this woman was sharing with my friend that she loved her content, but and she said this in such a kind way of, please don't take offense, but I truly enjoy your content and I don't understand what you're talking about. And I think that if you are like a spiritual entrepreneur, if you are somebody who understands the world of manifestation and the moon and things like human design and energy work and energy healing and some of these things that are not mainstream, you can probably relate to this, right? It's like we're speaking in tongues sometimes. And I have moments like this as well, even on sales calls with clients that have been following me for quite some time, where they'll say to me, well, what is that? What do you mean? And I think it's just a great invitation for us to be thinking about our language and to be thinking about our messaging, because if you are explaining your business in a way that makes sense to you, it doesn't necessarily mean that the person on the other side of the screen will completely understand what you're speaking to. And for this particular situation, my friend and I really came to this, conclusion together that was not her ideal client. The person that she was talking to in real life is not somebody that she would bring into her business as a client, but it triggered a thought for me. And because she's heard this a few times now from different people, it triggered this thought in me that, of course, most people don't understand what she's speaking to because it is very woo and spiritual. And how can we use that and leverage that as a piece of content or a series of content? And so I told her, for example, we were speaking to the moon cycle. I told her that creating content around, well, what is this moon cycle that you speak of, right? Like creating content that educates, that positions her as an authority, that it positions her as the expert in what she does, because she is so knowledgeable. She has so much brilliance to share. And one of the ways that we can support people, whether it's through working with clients or really allowing our knowledge to be showcased in a public platform and being a thought leader, is to be sharing content that teaches and educates and allows the door to open to the world that you live in. So I want you to think about your business, right? I want you to think about the offers that you have, the processes that you have in working with your clients, and start to pay attention to the things that are maybe a little nuanced or that have a lot of layers that require some explanation. So, for example, when I am speaking to my husband, love him so dearly, when I'm speaking to my husband about social media, his perception of social media is his newsfeed is filled with mixed martial arts and news headlines and off-roading, ATVs and dirt bikes and whatever. That's what he sees social media as. And for me, my world is entirely different, right? Because our algorithm is going to mirror back to us what it is that we are consuming, and it's going to mirror back to us our interests. And so when we think about, and when I'm explaining social media to him, I have to really break it down. I have to really explain to him what some of these terms mean. For example, the algorithm. For a really long time, he was like, "What do you mean? What is that? What is the algorithm?" And I had to explain it to him in terms that he would understand. Same thing with this friend of mine who is speaking to very woo, if you will, aspects of life, like following the moon cycle. Like, how can we break it down? How can we find a point of understanding and resonance with the people that maybe are not at the stage in life or business that is required in order to work with us? My husband is not my ideal client. In fact, if anybody came to me trying to work with me with his knowledge of social media, I probably would turn them away, right? To be completely honest. But this is an invitation for you as an expert in what you do to look at it through the lens of, how can I build authority? How can I position what I know in a way that educates, in a way that informs? Because a lot of times this will open up the door to more questions, and it will also be building that reputation. So, for example, again, in the beginning of my business, when I was creating websites almost exclusively, when I was doing branding and website work almost exclusively, a lot of my content was education around website design. What does your homepage need to include? How do you lay out your website navigation? How can you optimize for SEO? Like, all of these very tangible takeaways, because it allowed people to have that perception of me that I am a website design and branding expert. And that is where the referrals came in. That is where people started tagging me in posts when they saw somebody needing website work. And that's still to this day, even people that I had connected with 10 years ago will still tag me in a lot of these posts, right? And give me those referrals. That is the power of leveraging your positioning. So creating content around educating your audience on what you do, how you help people, and breaking it down in a way that really allows it to be understood is a really great way for you to be building your brand authority. And if you are wondering, what do I post? What do I say? How do I attract the people that genuinely want to work with me? This is an example. And I hope it's helpful for you, because it does bridge the gap between real life, like your everyday life and the people that you're connecting with, to the world that we live in, the online space and the coaching industry and the service provider industry. We live in this alternate reality, is what it feels like sometimes. And so I really want you to ground it back to, how can you show up authentically as yourself to showcase your expertise and to make it super simple. One of the things that I am on a mission to do this year is to help women, specifically Gen X women and women 50 plus, simplify their business, simplify their marketing, simplify social media, and all of the things that it requires to be growing a business that you actually love and can sustain. Because I'm seeing so many women burnt out, overwhelmed, stuck in frustration because they're wearing so many hats and they're not sure exactly what step to take next in their own strategy in their business. So because of that, I am sharing with you a completely free masterclass happening on May 18th. The sign up is open now. This will be a live masterclass, and this is social media simplified for women 50 plus. Now, if you're not 50 plus, that's okay. You can still sign up. But the whole idea here is that if you're not tech savvy, if you're not a huge fan of social media, you're going to understand how to simplify your approach so that it feels attainable, so that you know what to share, you know how to show up consistently, and to do it in a way that allows you to live your life and not feel like you're glued to your phone 24/7. So we are going to cover what I shared today and so much more in this masterclass, and I would love to have you join us. And I would love to hear your biggest takeaways from this episode.
Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe wherever you are listening so you never miss a beat. For episode show notes, visit calandramartin.com/podcast. Your iTunes reviews and your sharing of the show helps us reach more magnetic bosses just like you. Until next time.